our next system we're going to be talking about is the taste system. And that's really important for food enjoyment. You know, we all eat food all the time. I think what's really interesting is over the years, parents have reported so many issues around food to me. And I think that's the one thing that a child can really control. You know, when at the start of the talk, we mentioned some of the behavior issues. Now, you know, we can force our children to do quite a lot of things, but putting food in their mouth and actually eating it is something that we can do. And that is what a lot of children control when they use food as a method of making life a little bit easier for themselves and more sort of predictable. So when we think about children with any sort of food or taste issues, what we need to do is think about how wide this topic is. There's so much that, you know, is involved with eating food, trying to help our children to eat more food. So what I want to recommend today is that if any of you have significant issues with your child around food, there's really good resources available out there. In the link down below, you will find a link that will take you to a website called Your Kids Table. And that is a website written by an occupational therapist. She does lots of webinars, lots of talks, lots of handouts, lots of really, really good ideas of how you can support your child specifically with the food issues. She herself has children with fussy eaters, so she's got really good practical ideas. But let's have a look at how our children present when they are over-responsive to the taste sense. So it might be that they gag when they eat food. They often have a very sort of limited diet. It might be that they only eat certain types of food. Maybe it's only wet food or dry food. Some children limit their food to certain colors or certain tastes. They often don't want the food to touch each other. So, you know, it can be really extreme if you think about some of the issues that our children can have. Now, we find that some of our children might have poor weight gain because of the small amount of food they eat, but that's not always the case. Sometimes our children actually still look really healthy, although they don't eat a varied diet. And we find that some children would even gag when you put food in their mouth or a utensil like a spoon or a knife or a fork. It causes lots of stress for families. If we think about meal times where children are fussy, parents always have to think and plan their meals because there need to be something available for this particular child that they would actually eat. Other family members are affected by it, and it often causes lots of stress and anxiety, which is not ideal when we want food to be something that we enjoy and our meal times to be, of course, an enjoyable experience. To support our children with their sensitivity to food, there are a few options that we can consider. Firstly, we could do some activities as preparation before they're going to have a meal time. So that might be something like having to chew chewing gum, or maybe something that's really crunchy, or a chewy toy, anything that provides a bit of resistance to the mouth. Because remember, the deep pressure through the joints of the mouth provides a calming effect on the nervous system. And that's what we are aiming for before we're going to have this meal time. Then another thing to keep in mind is that we could involve our children in food preparation, buying of the food, cooking, because when we do that, even though they might not eat the food, they will see that the food is safe. They might realize that it smells nice, and that probably would give them a bit more of an incline to have a go at trying something new. Now, a process that you could try and follow is making a list of the things that your children really enjoy. Maybe draw a piece of paper with 3 columns with easy food, things that they really enjoy, middle food, things that they have eaten before but maybe don't eat at the moment, or things that you really want them to eat, and maybe some hard foods, things that you are really keen for them to eat but they absolutely have never tried it and they refuse to have a go. And then what we want to do is every time have something easy for your child on the plate, but try and introduce some of those medium and difficult foods. Now, another thing to keep in mind is it's best to make sure that your child always eat their snack or their food or dinner at the table. So they have to sit down at the table and eat their food. So we're not going to give them any snacks when they're walking around or when they're doing something else. We also want to do that when we think about drinks. So when they want squash or milk, we offer that when they sit at the table, and then every other time when they're just out and about, they can have some water. Because we also want to encourage our children to get to that point where they actually really feel hungry. Because if they don't feel hungry, then they're not going to be happy to have a go at trying any new foods. So we have to make sure that when they actually come and sit down at the table, that they are hungry and they are ready to eat and they feel that that's what they want to do. And then hopefully they'll be able to try a few more different foods. Another thing, again, we can try, just maybe before we're going to eat some food, is to do some massaging of the mouth, maybe pressing some dots on the face, all around the face area, because again, that calms the nervous system. And that might just make it a little bit easier for your child to engage in any sort of eating activity. So when our children are under-responsive to taste, they tend to crave really strong and a wide variety of flavors. So it might be very spicy, it might be very sour, like lemon, or it could be very hot or very cold. So they really enjoy a wide variety of different tastes and smells when they eat their food. We also find that they are very unaware, again, of their face or mouth being messy. So it might be that there's some food left and they don't have any awareness of it. We also see that some of these children might dribble or drool, again, without being aware of it being on their face. The other thing that we see is that these children often overfill their mouth when they eat. So they keep eating and putting more and more food in their mouth without being aware of when to stop. And they often look like a chipmunk and can hardly close their mouth, and then they start trying to chew and swallow their food. They also put lots of things in their mouth, lots of unedible items. So it might be that they be chewing on hair or pens or straws or clothes. And all of these things also link into our proprioceptive system, very similar to the mouth being full of food. So that all links into that system where the child is unaware of when they've had enough. So for our under-responsive children, we can provide a wide variety of different food and textures. So it could be ice cold lemon water, or it could be some really crunchy food or really spicy food. So anything that provides lots of input is what our children crave, and we can give that to them to sort of feed that sensory need. Now, what's also really good is when we engage in lots of activities that's going to work the muscles of the mouth. So it could be chewing toys, it could be blowing bubbles, using fairy liquid in a bowl where we make a little bubble mountain, or we could blow up a balloon, we could suck through a straw. That could be a milkshake through a thick straw or through a thin straw. We could just drink some regular water. It could also be chewing a sensory chewy toy. That provides lots of deep input into the mouth. We could chew on a chew stick at the back of a pencil or any jewelry as well. So jewelry is a type of jewelry that children can wear around their neck. That could be a little figure or a little pattern, or it could even look like a Lego brick. So there's lots and lots of different ones available out there. But these are the sort of things that your children could chew when they have the need to chew on any items. Again, remember that using a drinking bottle with water or squash is a really good idea for your child, maybe to have it on their desk at school, have it available at home. And a bottle that can work really well is something like the Camelback sports bottle, because it's got a spout that you can't chew through, but it's quite difficult to get the liquid out. So you have to really suck through the spout to get it out, and that makes the muscles of the mouth work really hard. When we think about our children that overfill their mouth when they eat, what you could do is when they have their cheeks really full of food, you can just briefly stroke from the ear to the tip of the side of the mouth, just with the outside of your finger, stroke over the cheek to make them aware of the fact that their mouth is really overfull. Again, we can teach our children those sort of social strategies of using a mirror to check their appearance if they've got a dirty face or mouth. But also, we could use that strategy when we have our children that put too much food in their mouth. So again, we can go and show them that that's what they look like when they have all the food in their mouth. And again, teaching them that you take one bite and then you chew it, swallow it, and then you can have your next bite. So there are lots of different things that we can do just with our mouth to regulate our sensory system. If we think about our glass, our empty children and the glass that's full, how to bring them to the middle, we can use lots of oral activities. So it could be that when we suck something, it's quite calming. If you think about sucking on a sweet or a lollipop, it's quite calming. If you chew something that's quite crunchy or spicy, it really wakes you up and alerts you. When you drink something cold or eat something that's really cold, again, that wakes you up. Blowing and chewing in general has a real calming effect on the nervous system. So we can use all these strategies to help us to regulate ourselves to that middle bit in the glass of water where we want to be.